Of all the likely locations one could expect to find a thylacine residing, the sheltered insides of an abandoned 19th century Cornish boiler might seem a little far-fetched. But as history would prove, stranger things have happened. In 1886, far away in Tasmania's remote wilderness, two prospectors were to discover in the side of a mountain a giant lode of silver ore. These men were Mr. William Bell and James Smith. Smith, also known as the philosopher, had recently cut his ties with the Mount Bischoff tin mine, located several miles away in the newly formed town of Waratah. This mine was the world's largest tin mine, and Smith was the man who first discovered it. News of the new silver discovery spread, as hopes of Tasmania's own Broken Hill circulated. However, Bell and Smith made no rush to capitalise and expand their workings. This would be done by a neighbouring lease, a Mr. North Godkin, who after securing ground rushed to Victoria and raised £100,000 of capital. By now, the township of Hazelwood had sprung up at the junction of the road and the pack track. This bustling town housed many miners and contained a butcher's shop, a bakery, post office and a hotel. The capital raised by the Godkins Mining Company allowed them expenditures only dreamed of at the time, including steam engines and winders. These would be used to haul heavy loads in and out of the mine shafts. All of this was brought to the mine on a recently constructed horse-drawn wooden tramway. Departing the Godkin mine, the tramway wound its way through ancient forests and passed through a newly developed town site of Stafford. By December 1891, Stafford was reported to have 6 buildings, one of which was a 6-roomed boarding house. Continuing along the forest, the tram emerged at the main road to Corinna, at the town site of White River. A favourite of all prospectors, the White River Hotel saw many a drunken nights, where prospectors from all reaches of the wilds would come to drink away their finds before heading back to their humpies. But behind the silver lining, trouble loomed, and by late 1891 only 27 tonnes of ore had been sold, at a mere profit of £218. Indecision in the mine's management where to expand next led to the flooding in some of the shafts, rendering them useless. The mine was to change hands over the next few decades, then to become abandoned altogether, never to realise its full potential. With its closing, the small settlement soon became deserted, and what was left to rot was soon overgrown by the cool temperate rainforest which engulfed the west coast. In the 1960s, wreckage of the mine site was investigated as Dr. Eric Geiler found hair inside of a boiler, which he identified as those of a thylacine. It's been on the cards for some time, so taking advantage of a rare winter's window, I set out to visit the area and see for myself the ruins of another big show gone bust. Good morning everybody, and welcome to the wonderful township of Hazelwood. Population 0. Now right where I'm standing is where the road runs from Waratah to Corinna, and it was at this point 13 miles from Waratah that the pack track ran south to the silver mines. Now right here is where the township was developed of Hazelwood, and we have 13 Mile Creek on the other side of the road where they had the pack track where the horses would take and bring in supplies, and then right here behind me in this bench kind of area is where you had the police reserve, the bakery, the general stores, and everything else that goes with a small township. As you can see, nothing remains of it today. 130 years of neglect, deterioration, bushfires, and vegetation growth has just left, well, as far as I'm aware, nothing of the township. But anyway, we're going to be heading up this little road here, grabbing the backpack and heading in for an overnight trip. I'm pretty excited for this trip because
it seems like a really fun itinerary. The pack track that leads from Hazelwood into the silver mines has been kept in pretty good condition. And same goes for the old tramway, which leads from the silver mines to the White River, where the old pub was. So it should be an epic little overnighter. I've even packed the pan and the shovel, so I can do a bit of silver prospecting, test some of the streams if we get a chance. I don't really know where I'm going. I'm just climbing up this little spur, which I can only assume is like mullock heaps because of all the rocks that are just kind of out of place. So we've got these valleys, kind of valleys on either side of this giant mullock heap, and pretty decent forest to walk around and explore. Look how open it is. Now, if you're gonna do any of this stuff, just be aware that there are like open mine shafts around this area, so watch where the hell you're walking, because some of these things have been tested and they haven't found the bottom of them, so be super careful if you're gonna come out here. So many obstacles. Godkin. We made it. That is nuts. Must be the flue there. Such an incredible kind of feeling when you see something that's man-made after being in the bush for hours. Like it just kind of, you get desensitized to civilization. So when you see something with structure, it's just such a weird sensation. Oh, there's so much to explore here. All of that stuff down there. So I've just switched the light on the phone and I'll send you guys in to have a scout. There's actually quite a bit going on in there. Heap of stuff. What the hell is that? Decent looking scat. Got fur in it. Maybe the legend of Stripey lives on out here. So I'm pretty sure this is how this setup worked. The boiler, which was heated with a fire, heated up water, which then turned into steam, and some pipes ran down to this area. Now this here is a 2-cylinder engine and powered by steam. Those 2 pistons pump, wind the gears, which winds this drum attached to the wire, which then allows them, oh wow, that's crazy, to wind things in and out of that potentially super deep shaft right there. Actually, it's not even potentially, it would like definitely be too deep. Way too deep to go anywhere near. It's mad. I mean, even these vines, I've never seen vines that hectic. Like, what the hell is this place? Crazy. This chicken wire beside the boiler is left over from when Dr. Geiler was in here in the 60s trying to trap whatever it was that was living in there. Now, he confirmed that the hair was of a thylacine, but I've heard mixed reports about it. They spent months or even years out here, and the best they ever got apparently was some wild dog footprints, footprints of wombats and wallabies, of course, but yeah, I don't think anything eventuated on the whole thylacine thing, which wouldn't surprise me. I mean, even if it was a thylacine living in here, I don't think that it would be likely to come back once people had been here. It just doesn't seem in their nature. But what a freaking ruin this is. This whole place has just blown me away. Okay, it's time to leave the North Godkin mine. And I'm going to head down to the southern workings. And I'm not sure where I'm going to sleep tonight, but could be somewhere near those southern workings, or it could be in the old abandoned town of Stafford. So the track's gotten pretty rough ever since leaving the North Godkin Mine. But there's still little bits of pink tape here and there to help mark the way. Just got to keep an eye out for them. Where the hell are we? What the hell kind of rock is that? Oh wow. That is a pretty hefty hole right there. Check out the wheel over there. It's about one heavy rainfall away from being washed into that hole, I think. So you can see these beams here that line up with that wheel. It must have been a like a flywheel or something that had rope and brought things in and out of this shaft, and it's just collapsed. There's just like stuff scattered around everywhere here. Like there's bits and pieces there, something there. I don't know what that is. Some sort of drum or a tank. Oh, the stories this place could tell. There's bottles all through here. All the way up the hill. Oh wow, there's a fireplace here. Oh man, that's unreal. That is so cool. Look at the detail on that bottle. Somebody's collected everything and kind of put it in this spot. How awesome is that? So it looks like there was a few little dwellings here. Had that one with the chimney, and then there's another flat spot just up there, and then there's this little flat spot here, and it's got heaps of bricks here, so I reckon there was another chimney. I could just walk around here exploring all day, but there's only about 1 hour left of the day, and I need to go set up camp somewhere, find a creek. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll head out of here and then try to find the old tramway and follow that to Boarding House Creek, which is where the township of Stafford was. Hopefully I can do that in an hour. I don't know about this track, but it's looking pretty well defined. This might have to be the tramway, surely. Nah, I'm almost certain that this is not the tramway. More junk. If it's not the tramway though, what is it? Maybe just a track that leads down to the White River. If that's the case, that's where I'm staying tonight. This has definitely got to be the tramway. Look at this. Some freaking wheels. Far out. This place is just mind-blowingly awesome. We've just arrived. Stafford. It's quite open in here. Oh wow, that's got to be an old chimney or something. That might be the old boarding house, I think. I think I read somewhere that the boarding house ruins were visible. So I'm just looking for anywhere that's kind of flat and dry, because I need to set up camp. The day's well and truly gotten away from me. Right here is about as good as the real estate gets in Stafford. Tell you what, it's been a pretty awesome day, but it's going to be a very cold night, I think. If it's anything like last night, there was snow down to about 600 meters and frost all over the roads, so I'm expecting it'll be a pretty chilly night. It's pretty green wood. So we've got some mashed spuds, potato and chickpea curry tonight. So bloody cold outside. So when it gets a bit more light, I'll go for a bit of an explore up in the hills, because according to the town chart that was done up for this place, the tramway, which is where I'm camped on now, split Stafford in half. So you had the lower part that was quite flat and led to the White River, and then the upper part, which was more in the hill area, and it probably went back for a couple of 100 meters. But when this place was surveyed in like the late 1890s, there was 6 dwellings at the time. There was the boarding house, and then there was a few other houses up in the hills. So I'll go have a bit of a look up there, and then I might make my way down to the White River, and I might even sink the shovel in it and have a little pan and just see what kind of minerals are in the water there, and then continue to follow the tramway back out to the White River.
where the site of the White River Hotel used to be. So it should be a nice little morning. I think the weather's going to play nice, so it'll be good.
Gotta say, I'm pretty impressed with this bag. I'll put the website up for them. It's nevegear.com.au. If you guys want to check them out, they're Australian made and bloody awesome quality. Fits everything I need in it for a good overnighter, and I'll definitely be using it a lot more in the future. So I'm hoping that we can find at least some sort of flat areas which might signify that there was a dwelling there. Ah, right there, that actually looks like quite a flat area. Yeah, definitely. Right here. Nice cutout, and maybe a, I don't know, 5 by 10 meter clearing. That's the chimney there, right in the middle of it. You can see, standing here, it goes over to there, to here, and then you've got the chimney right in the middle. And how's this for a view? Mind you, they wouldn't have had any of this vegetation. It all would have been cleared. A lot of this stuff's not really that old. And then another one right next door. Yep. So on the chart that I had, 2 of the buildings were found side by side. So this is 100% them. Some crazy ass fungus growing on this tree here. That's mad. And then these ones down here as well. I've never seen black mushies. Inverted ones too. So it doesn't really look like there's much more in this southern part. And according to the survey that was done in like 1890 something, there wasn't any buildings other than the boarding house here anyway. But we'll go for a little wander down to the White River because it's not too far away from here. In fact, the town borders the White River, and we'll sink a little pan and see if we can't start a new rush and bring old Stafford back to life. Alright, let's see what we got in here. Any specks of silver or gold we can follow up. Ooh! Look at that red little ruby in there. One little bit of gold and a heap of little gemstones. Well, I don't know about silver, but gemstones could be a thing here. It's got a nice ring to it, Stafford. Ruby City. Yeah, I like that.
As we follow the ruins of the tramway out to the location of the White River Hotel, I'll leave you with a poem by a well-respected old-timer, Mulga Mick. On the road to Old Corinna, 10 miles out from Waratah, there's a little spot most Aussie diggers know. On the banks of the White River stood a lonely bush hotel, a lively place in days of long ago. Though fallen and deserted, what memories it recalls, with its hectic sights of pleasure and of pain. Where the pub stood in its glory in the days we were young, a blackened heap of charred logs now remain. When the Aussie fields were booming and the diggers' hearts were light, and the whiskey and beer was flowing free, old Burley Lynch the publican would fill all glasses up, with a smiling face remark, "Have one with me." Of the songs and recitations and the toast the diggers gave, I fancy in my heart I hear them still. The coastal celebrities were toasted one and all, with an extra one or two for Harry Hill. Some came in from Bald Hill and the Savage River Flats, from Jones's Creek and Wilson River too, from the long and winding 19, where the biggest nuggets were. You always could expect a thirsty crew. Jack Kelly, the snake charmer, and good old Sammy Dwyer, the silent man who ne'er had much to say, and that famous pair of diggers who'd been mates for 40 years, smiling old Bob Martin and Mick Shea. Jimmy Spencer the pensioner and Charlie the old Swede, likewise old Jimmy Turnbull at the store, and Tom Jones, that great prospector who found Jones's Creek, now prospecting upon the Golden Shore. And Tom Prouse, the local resident who found the main slug, a record for the world so they say. Scotty Fraser and Jack Fennelly, and some I can't recall. I wonder where those old hands are today. The fun would last till daybreak, then each digger went his way, with careless steps to humpy, tent or shack, with a week or so's tucker in a frayed old Gundy bag, and a couple of revivers on his back. With a drop from out the bottle as they slowly trudged along, their old hearts kept so lively and so brave. With a final Doc and Doris when they reached the top 19, they'd plant the dead Marines on Scotty's grave. Now silent are the gullies, the creeks and river flats, once noisy with a digger's ring of pick, and clearly flows the crystal streams over heaps of tailing wash, which used to be so muddy and so thick. And scattered over many lands the old hands wait the call, for their reward and final miners bright. What memories it would bring to them if they could now see that little spot so lonely and so quiet. It's reverting back to nature, for a sight soon disappears, where the fireweed and bracken hold the sway. The badgers are now burrowing beneath the old charred floor, where the diggers were so happy and so gay. At the magic hour of midnight the old songs can still be heard, amidst the silence of the pine and myrtle scrub, and the ghost of old McGinty comes prospecting each night, around the charred ruins of the old White River pub.